So, was there a federal informant involved with the Capitol riots? Find out next. So, first, I want to talk about, in the past in the United States, there's a program called COINTELPRO. It's the counterintelligence program from 1956 to 1971. It was a series of covert and illegal projects conducted by the U.S. FBI. Okay, and they were aimed at surveilling, infiltrating, discrediting, and disrupting domestic American political organizations.
Wow.
So I just want to say up front that this is historical. There's some
There's precedent.
there's a precedent for the U.S. government, the U.S. intelligence agencies, illegally disrupting and discrediting political organizations.
Well, and from the time you said it started, not only was it a precedent, but it was very well entrenched, highly sophisticated, and operating. They don't shut those things down. And there's not even a mention of the CIA, and those guys are like this.
Yeah. So I say that from the beginning to kind of preface our story here, that there was a gentleman named Ray Epps that was involved with the Capitol riots. There's pictures of his involvement. He was very heavily involved.
Possibly an FBI informant.
Well, so in the riots, he was encouraging people to get to the Capitol. He was very aggressive in leading the riots. He was, even before the riots, he was encouraging, stirring people up on social media. And at one point, he was listed as one of the top suspects. And then sometime this summer, he just completely disappeared from the database. So very curious, very curious. So there's a couple websites that say he's a potential federal informant, but
we got some video that tell us more about it.
So let's see. Yeah.
An individual featured in videos calling for people to enter the Capitol building even before the January 6th Capitol riot, and was seen on the day, January 6th, ushering crowds into the Capitol building, has been identified by law enforcement as Arizona resident Ray Epps.
Ray Epps, an Arizona man seen in widely circulated videos telling Trump supporters on multiple occasions to go into the Capitol, also seemed to have acted on his own.
I don't even like to say it because I'll be arrested.
Well, let's not say
We need to go, I'll say it.
All right.
We need to go in to the Capitol.
Wow.
He's saying that before it's like anybody's idea. Like,
Right.
Unsurprisingly, he was on the FBI's most wanted list and was referred to as Suspect 16 for some time.
FBI WFO is seeking the public's assistance in identifying those who made unlawful entry into the U.S. Capitol building on January the 6th.
But now, Suspect 16 has been scrubbed from the FBI website. Now, if you take a look at the Wayback Machine from archive.org, you can see that from January 8th, 2021, all the way until June 30th, Suspect 16 was pretty clearly highlighted. But suddenly, on July 1st, he wasn't on the website any longer. Now, if he'd been arrested, he would still be on the website, just with arrested under his name, like others who have been apprehended. But he's not. He's just been scrubbed. This has prompted lawmakers to ask questions about whether or not there were FBI provocateurs who may have helped events on January 6th to go the way they did.
As far as we can find, this individual has not been charged with anything. Can you tell us, without talking about particular incidents or particular videos, how many agents or assets of the federal government were present on January 6th, whether they agitated to go into the Capitol, and if any of them did?
So I'm not going to violate this norm of the rule of law. I'm not going to comment on an investigation that's ongoing.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. What do you think, Bob?
Well, let me just put it this way. We've got the most sacred, hallowed building in the United States sitting there. And these guys are out there raising hell for at least an hour, hour and a half. And they actually get inside the Capitol building, too. And the only people that are in there defending our White House are these good old little fat Capitol police
But
that drive buses in there. Yeah, I think. Can you imagine the officers and detectives, CIA agents? They could have had 150 guys over there in 30 seconds. That's the friggin' Capitol. They've got missiles on the top of that building. Give me a break. They let that happen.
The most powerful military in the world couldn't stop civilians from getting inside.
They let that happen.
I mean, don't you think, like, he's sitting there hours ahead of time saying that we should go in the Capitol, like he knew that they were going to go in the Capitol?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So pull up a couple of Sherman tanks, some 50 caliber machine guns, some drones flying around, and about 250 soldiers. Nobody's going in that damn building for nothing. They almost walked in there.
Right.
Well, Bob, you made a great point offline about, it only takes one person to encourage something, to drive something like this, almost like the wave at a stadium sport event.
Yeah.
Starting the wave. So.
Well, here's the greatest example probably in history, or at least one of them. I mean, I love history, and I've read a lot about it, and you read the rise and fall of the Third Reich. One man started the entire Third Reich, and his name was Adolf Hitler.
Right.
And he started on his own, and he recruited one guy, and he started the brown shirts, and there was only a dozen of them, and from there he ended up with the SS and built the German war machine and nearly took over the entire world.
Wow.
Now, the Capitol Breach database has no entries or listings for Ray Epps. To some, that's a pretty big red flag.
The ongoing mystery of Ray Epps, who repeatedly appears in videos encouraging and inciting an invasion of the Capitol on January the 6th, yet, for some reason, has not yet been indicted or charged, even as people with far less involvement have been.
Ray Epps is a free man. He has never been arrested or charged. Nearly 10 months after January the 6th, the FBI and Justice Department still refuse to comment on whether Epps has ever been served a search warrant.
The FBI's record when it comes to things like protests and provocations is not exactly squeaky clean. People can look up the history of COINTELPRO, infiltration, and other dirty deeds. If January 6th is such a pivotal date in U.S. history as it's being presented, surely questions like those surrounding Suspect 16 demand answers. Caleb Maupin, RT, New York.
Can I try something? Hey Siri, where's Ray Epps?
Nothing.
Siri.
Sharing their location in the Find My app.
Oh, Siri said she can't share that location. I wonder why.
Neither can the FBI.
So you saw him bring up COINTELPRO at the end of that. We gave a little preface about that being a real event that the FBI has done in the past.
Yeah, and we do need to caveat that news report is a Russian-backed news agency, but
I mean, in my opinion, the Russian Times is a legitimate organization. I mean, personally, no lie. I mean, I give them more credibility than CNN or Fox News because they're objective. They attempt to have an objective point of view.
Yeah, and you did show us history of that, so with precedent.
So Bob, do you think that this the January 6th event was organized, at least aided by the intelligence agencies, and they stirred up some mass hysteria, psychosis? I mean,
yes,
mass hysteria is a very well-studied psychological impact,
Yeah, and I think beyond that, when you look at the fact that as soon as Trump announced, I'm going to drain the swamp, and we all know what the swamp is, we had to watch him for the next 4 years try to drain Trump. This was their last-ditch effort to hopefully maybe get something to stick to him because they'd been unsuccessful so far. They had nothing to lose, and if they could have gotten in there and done enough damage, and then maybe they had a plan like the Steele dossier, that was all fabricated. That got in there pretty deep, but they never could make it stick. Maybe they just decided, the hell with it. He's gone. Nothing really happened. But to me, that was orchestrated. FBI stand down. Everybody stood down. That's the White House, for crying out loud. And they let a bunch of rabble-rousers get inside that damn building. That's just... You don't see that. That's not going to happen.
It's really kind of odd, though, because it's Trump's final days in office. What, he had like 2 or 3 weeks left, and then to have something like this. They still want to create an event like this.
Just driving that last nail to the coffin, man.
Well, you know,
was it to keep him from being able to be reelected? To have some event
point.
so bad?
Because
they had already impeached him, twice?
I agree with you. That's a very good point.
And this happened right around all the these contested elections, this very shady presidential election that we just got through. And, you know, and if you really want to have some discussion about this, because you can't find much about this anywhere on the internet, you know, I actually
there's very few videos out there on social media.
It, yeah. I tried to find news articles, but the best place to discuss this is on the freespeechforum.com.
Yeah, we've got another video here.
Really?
Yeah, we got Ray Epps. He's actually in action assaulting a police officer.
Well, let's see, yeah. There he is. I think that's the back of his head based on what he did. Even that sign's very curious.
Yeah, he's like pushing on the Trump sign.
That sign looks something like a...
He's still right there at like third step down. So he's right there pushing on the sign.
So, I mean,
they're slowing it down to show him, so. Yeah, right there in the red hat.
Yep, there he is. It's a Colorado man charged, but Ray Epps wasn't charged.
Fishy.
I know. In fact, tomorrow, I don't even like to say it because I'll be arrested.
Well, let's not say
we need to go. I'll say it. All right. We need to go in to the Capitol.
That's the biggest load of shit ever.
There was the key. He said, in fact, tomorrow? Now, you know good and damn well they could have had 100,000 military, the Army out there, all kinds of things set up, said you're not going any damn where near our White House.
Our intelligence organization should know that this guy's saying this ahead of time.
Right.
Wouldn't you prepare? Like, wouldn't you?
Exactly.
Wouldn't you have some extra protection?
That's the
point.
But
no. I'm just going to go ahead and say this to let these people hear it because it's all part of the plan. They're going to let us flow straight into the Capitol, you know, have this photo shoot that looks like there's been a massive revolution against the U.S. government.
Let's look at something that we could compare on a smaller scale. You're hanging out around your house at a neighborhood barbecue in some guy's backyard, and here comes a guy named Larry. He's like, oh, by the way, we're breaking into your house tomorrow. We're gonna steal all your shit. Okay, can I have a hot dog? and so what do? Go home and watch Leave It to Beaver?
Yeah.
Hell no, you're going to call the cops. You're going to get some private detectives out there. You're going to tell your buddies with the trucks and the shotguns, and you're going to have your damn house framed with people ready to drop somebody.
What a great example. But I will say from those videos, like, it was very clear that there was a riot, and there were people that were very aggressive pushing against the police. So, I mean,
right.
But
the sad thing about it is that they were almost egged on by him. Like they might not even want to do this, but you get enough people doing it, and you get convinced, and you get a part of it, and you just find yourself doing it.
Yeah,
and you're not even a violent person.
You're excited. You're there. You know, you don't see anybody shooting. You see 4 people pushing this sign against police. You're like, oh yeah, you know, this is what all the cool kids are doing.
Yeah,
let's get involved.
Isn't it called the mob mentality factor?
Right. Yeah,
it's a type of psychosis that sets in. That you're not going to do something on your own, but if 15 people are already tearing something up, Boom.
It makes me think about the Astro World video we did, the Travis Scott concert where they just trampled people.
Right.
People get stirred up in a mob, so.
I mean, all this is really mind-boggling, though. Just think about people being hired by their own government to overthrow the government. And the most beautiful building in America, really, and it's just really sad. So I've never even heard of this before, but it is pretty convincing by this video. So.
Well, without a doubt, my big thing, too, is like everything that happens through the news, through the government, it's all built to divide people. Divide. I mean, of the 99.5% things that we all Americans have in common, all this 0.5% is what gets focused on to split people apart. So, the American people can't come together and work together to actually fix the problems,
Right.
But.
Well, there's one thing for sure. There's been so much angst and division that I think that the Democrats, what's happening right now to me is that they are actually overplaying their hand. And they're going to have to destroy their own machine because the average American out there, of the 99%, we're part of it. We're still going to our jobs. We're doing our daytime thing. We're taking care of our kids. We're going to visit people. We're still trying to live our life. But the Democrats now, they are really getting rolling. And the audacity of Biden the other day saying Christmas is going to be filled with death and sickness.
Right.
What in the, it's
Well,
just ridiculous.
And you guys know me. It's like I won't point fingers at either side because as much as the Democrats are doing this, I believe that the Republicans have done it as well.
Yeah, well, they don't have the bloody pulpit. That's all I'm saying.
Right now,
the President of the United States had no business saying that Christmas is going to be.
That's true, but that's a different story for a different podcast.
God.
Well, if you want to learn more about this, come to the freespeechforum.com. There's a thread out there on the Ray Epps, and people talk about this every day. So, and definitely like and subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any future podcasts.
Bingo.
Well, thank you guys for listening. It was fun to talk about that. Really interesting, So I'm looking forward to having some more discussion about this. Comment section on the forum, maybe we'll do another podcast later.
Right. Let us hear from you. Please visit the freespeechforum.com and let us know how you feel about this episode and any other subject you might want us to investigate and put on the podcast.
See you next time.